List of rulers of Ife. The Ooni of Ile-Ife. Ooni of Ile-Ife is the traditional ruler of Ile-Ife and the spiritual head of the Yoruba people. The Ooni dynasty existed before the reign of Oduduwa, which historians have argued to have been between the 7th–9th centuries AD. After the demise of Oduduwa and Ogun's loss of the throne, Oduduwa's support base dispersed out of Ile-Ife. Another account, but not in tandem with existing evidences, states that Ogun purposely sent all Oduduwa's children on different journeys to effect Yoruba territory expansion. Whatever the case, after Oduduwa's short reign, Obatala re-emerged as the king of Ile-Ife, and the throne was rotated between Obatala and Obalufon houses until the return of Oranmiyan, who briefly interrupted the succession pattern. Popular history has associated Ooni Lajamisan with Oranmiyan as his son. However, Ife tradition shows that Lajamisan was indeed a descent of Oranfe lineage. Nevertheless, Lajamisan is often said to have opened the modern Ife history. Prior to the 20th century, the succession pattern of the Ooni was fluid. However, with the modernity that came with colonialism, the succession pattern was structured to the existing 4 actual ruling houses are named from Ooni Lajamisan, Ooni Asinkola, Ooni Ogboru, and Ooni Gisi. The structure has been heavily critiqued for being influenced by politics, personal vendetta, and obfuscation of history. For instance, while the first 3 were said to have been sons of Ooni Lajamisan, certain figures regarded as siblings of Ogboru have either been completely excluded or subsumed. The current Ooni is Adai Enitan Ogunwusi Ajaja Roman II, born October 17, 1974. Various authors have various lists. The primary sources for the history of the Yoruba are from oral tradition. The oral traditions of Ile-Ife indicate that Oranfe was an Olufon, and likewise Obatala, who is credited with the ownership of the Ilè-Ifẹ crown. Since there were not ceremonial recitations of the list of the Oonis at burial or at crowning, there are in fact several oral traditions that have generated an unusual number of different written transcriptions. In what follows, #NN is the index of the Ooni in the list C table, column La. Nevertheless, the existing literature have excised Oranfe and Obatala from the lists of the rulers of Ile-Ife. Books and research papers. Ojobada 1954 quotes 15 names for the Oduduwa to Lajamisan period. See column 5. Chief Fabami 1975 quotes 7 names for the same period. See column 6. Chief Fabami is known for his historical notes. Chief Fasabin 1976 quotes 12 names for this period. See column 7. Chief Awasimo 1985 quotes 22 names from Oduduwa to Gisi. See column 8. Alayami 1986 quotes 41 names from Oduduwa to nowadays. See column 9. Sources for the 50 items a list. Oyenfa, Dile 1992 pages 30–35. Prince L.A. Idetunji 1999 pages 70–77. The prince, from the Gisi family, was one of the contenders for the 2015 designation. See column La. Sources for the 50 items B list. Olagundu 2008, pages 58–59. Lists 48 names that are the B list, except from Obalufon, Alayamor #5, and Awarakalak #12. Moreover, Asinkola #18 is at #25. Strange place Araba. Adedayo Olagundu was a native of Ile-Ife, Nigeria. See column Og. Lol 2000, page 21. Nevertheless, this book is Google described as a 19 pages book. See column LB. Web sources. Source 2015. Leadership. NG 2015. 2015. No references are given. 1 typo. Ademilu Ajagun 1930–19800. Ooni Ajaja Roman II website, 2016 quotes 51 names. Same as list B, differs only by the diacritic. No references are given. This list was already in use before 2015. Influence on king-making. King-making. King-making The filling of the stool of a deceased Ooni of Ife is not a simple local affair, as it may seem, but has national ramifications. Since Ife is regarded as the cradle of the Yoruba, this town has always been the leading religious center of the Yoruba people. But other roles are also involved. Especially, the Ooni of Ife is often presented as the highest-ranked Oba, or, even more, as the natural chairman of the Council of Yoruban Chiefs. The rules to fill a vacant stool are the Chief's Law Cap 25 Laws of Asan State, modified 2002, and the declaration made in 1980 by the traditional chiefs under Section 412 of this chief law. In 1957, the former declaration recognized 4 ruling houses and established the following order of rotation. The Ashinkola House, Iremo, present as of 1957. The Agboro House, Ilè-Ifẹ, the GC House, More, the Lafagido House, Okru. In 1977, references to locations in Ife were suppressed, and the January 1980 declaration confirmed everything just before the death of Adesoji Aderemi. These families are tagged in column desk as sourced from Vanguard for Lafog, Osink, Auber, GC, and News for the rest. Both sources don't give their own sources. In 2015, it was the turn of the GC family, as confirmed by the Ife kingmakers. Nevertheless, Alakanal Aderemi, leader of Asinkola, said that, despite having produced Adesoji Aderemi 1930-1980, Asinkola House deserved to produce the new king because the family produced the fewest of the Uni among the 4 ruling houses. Ife Chieftaincy Declaration of 1980 technically throws open the contest for filling the stool of Uni, he added. The Lafagido House went to court, describing the Chieftaincy Declaration as unfair. Lafagido House had been constantly marginalized in chieftaincy reviews in Ife since 1957, they said. 14 Unis have been enthroned from Lajidagon, and only 8 from Lafagido ruling house, they added. Adetowo Aderemi of Asinkola got even further, faulting the 1957 and 1980 Ife Traditional Council declarations, describing them as a fraud, that they are against the customary law of succession of the Ife people, he said. He also faulted the inclusion of GC ruling house among eligible royal families to fill the stool of Uni, saying that GC was only invited to complete the term of Agboro, not being from the male lineage with right to the stool as the grandson of Agboro. Finally, Adai Enitan Ogunwusi from the GC House was elected October 26, 2015. Avoiding original research when consolidating the various lists. Consolidation at the price of the diacritics. The Yoruba language is written nowadays with an alphabet that uses many diacritic signs. But this alphabet was not strictly codified before being integrated as one of the components of the modern Pan-Nigerian alphabet 1981. Like for the McCune-Reischauer system for Korean, many authors of the West have used this alphabet with some laziness, omitting many of the diacritics for various reasons, or even ignoring all of them. But while poor romanizations of Korean can be fixed by comparing with the Hangul/Hanja original text, this cannot be done with the Yoruba oral sources of the past. The romanizations of the proper nouns became dependent the pronunciation of a specific speaker and the skill of a specific transcriber, leading to large variations in spelling. Some examples are diacritics removed. Also note that in the aggregated table, differences that clearly come only from pronunciation have been ignored. Consolidation at the price of the obvious discrepancies. Typographic issues. Printing fixes everything, even the typographic issues. The 2 printed quotations of the printed Ojo Bata have discrepancies. Athata equals Atasasa, Arioriok equals Ariorq, Lajamisan equals Lajamisan. When Awasimo 1985 quoted by Sina Ajuade says GC before Agboro, this is probably a typo. Indeed, all other sources are saying that Agboro-23 was the maternal grandfather of GC-24. The quotation of Ademican Upon 158 uses Korokalakan. This is probably a Warakalakan. In columns 86, Laganya is repeated. How to correct? To correct, perhaps Olagundu 2008, ranging Asinkola #18 at place, #25 is also a typo. Remaining discrepancies. In list A, Lajamisan is ranked #11. This can be tracked to the 1973 Daily Sketch King list Pone 158. This is strange since a list from start to Lajamisan should end by Lajamisan. Moving this one just before Atujabiojo #17 would synchronize the ordering of all the king lists from Ajujue to Lajamisan. This should be checked in detail. While list of sources put both Awarakalakan and Ajuanuda Akan before Lajamisan, most of the list B sources are saying that Awarakalakan, Ajuanuda, and Akan were three descendants of Lajadugan. We can only underline the discrepancy. Moreover, Alagundu don't quote Awarakalakan at all in his lists. Ring in the table. The same occurs with the only woman that became Ooni. Most of the time she is quoted as Luwuji Bajida #18 and placed before Lajadagan #19, but also as Luo female and placed after GC #24. Ring in the table. Athon Ioe #6 in Owoyinfo is quite surely the same person as Ioe in Bada and Fasubin, but they are not ranked the same by the sources relatively to Ajamuda Akan #7. Perhaps this was the reason of the comment, no matter how ripe the okra is, it cannot be older than itself. 9 names aren't part of list O or list B. At least it can be said that the existence of numerous variants requires explanation, and an interpretation can be assessed according to how satisfactorily it accounts for their existence. The method might be described as one of reductio ad non absurdum. Aggregated list